The speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe. We started this yesterday and we're continuing it today. And it's talking about wine and matzah. And it says that we drink 4 cups of wine because that corresponds to the 4 cups of salvation that God saved the Jewish people. And the 4 cups, the four languages of salvation that God said in the beginning of the book of Exodus. 4 languages of salvation, Otseti, Tzalti, Kakti, for 4 languages of salvation. That's why we have 4 cups. So the Rebbe asked the question, well, why don't we have 4 matzahs? The question was not asked by the Rebbe. The question was asked by a man called Mordechai. Mordechai, he lived about 800 years ago. His name was Mordechai Hillel. And he lived about 800 years ago. And he asked the question, why didn't the rabbis make 4 matzahs? What's the problem? Why not 4 matzahs? Because the matzah, that was the food of redemption. We got out of Egypt. So why not 4 matzahs? Why only 3? So the Rebbe explained what's the difference between matzah and wine. Matzah is tasteless and it's simple, and wine is tasty, and yet you sing on wine. So going out of Egypt was the Jewish people had to sort of negate themselves. They had to surrender themselves to God. They had to unquestionably do what God said, even though they didn't enjoy it, they didn't understand it. They got no pleasure out of it. It wasn't tasty like wine or happy like wine or singing like wine or anything. It was just like matzah, no taste. You just do what God says. Go out of Egypt. And going out of Egypt, going out of Egypt was the thing the Jewish people had to put their minds and their personalities aside. They had to not think about themselves at all. Just follow into this desert, going out in the desert. One where they had no survival skills or powers, and you can't survive in the desert anyway. No one can survive in the desert. Who survives in the desert? No one lives in the desert. I guess there were people, Bedouins and those things, but they knew where they had places where they could go to stock up on water and this, and then they could travel in the desert for a few weeks or something like that, but not for years. They didn't know. So the Jews, they had to just put away all their logic and all their this, and they had to just go out into the desert. That's like matzah. Okay, what's the idea of 3 and 4? Why 3 and 4? Well, 3, that corresponds to the matzahs. There's only 3. And 4, that corresponds to the wine, because number 4 corresponds to wine. Why? So we're going to see. What's 3 and 4? Okay, so wine, that shows on being free, on being, how do you say, aware that I'm free now, I can do what I want to, I can be myself. And matzah means you have to negate yourself. Jews, you're not slaves anymore. What are you talking about? We're slaves. I'm a slave. My father was a slave. My grandfather was a slave. Don't talk like that. Don't talk like that. That's dangerous to talk like that. No, you're not slaves anymore. Who says? God says. Who's God? What are you talking about? Where has God been 210 years? We've been in exile. Where is God? So you have to put away all these questions. Put all the questions aside. That's matzah. But wine is once you're out, now you're okay. According to this, now we can understand the reason, the difference between the number of matzahs, which is 3, and the number of cups, which is 4. In the Daled Lashonos, in the 4 expressions of redemption, which are mentioned in the beginning of the book of Exodus. Not in the beginning, in the 2nd chapter. There's a difference between the first 3 languages of redemption and the 4th, and the Ferter. The Erster Dry, the first 3 Hotzeti etchem, I will take you out from the suffering of Egypt. V'hitzalti etchem, and I will, in other words, save you from your service, from your slavery. V'go'alti etchem, and I will redeem you, go'alti etchem, with an outstretched arm and with big laws. And this, it says, is talking about redemption from Zayin Gewalt, Gevorn, bald by Yitzis Mitzrayim. This happened when the Jews left Egypt. The first three, I took you out of your suffering. I removed you from your hard service. I took you out of servitude. Those things happened as soon as the Jews got out of Egypt. Which they came from God, which is not the case. The fourth one, which says, Lakachti etchem li, I will take you to be my people. Even though this is the God said, I will take you. This is what God did. But is this upper, but it's upgehanged. This depends on the Jewish people. You have to be my people. It's not just going out of Egypt. You now have to go to, you're going to me. You're going to be my people. You have to have an allegiance to me. When was that? When God gave the Torah. When das was sich erst abgetan, this was done only when the Jews received the Torah. And so if you look in the Torah, you'll see that the expressions of redemption that God said to Moses, this is before the Jews got out of Egypt. Before the Jews got out of Egypt, before they started the plagues, before this, right? God said, you know what's going to happen now, Moses? I'm going to take you from your slavery. I'm going to remove you from your servitude and your pain and your difficulties. I'm going to cease all of your troubles and etc. Those are the things that God did. And then it says, that's the first three. And the last one is, and I will take you to me as a people. Now you're going to have a new identity. You're going to be my people. This is something you have to do yourself. You have to be my people. But God is saying, I'm not going to be a dictator, right? I'm going to be your king. A king has to be chosen by the people. He has to be chosen. People have to be loyal to their king. Right? Let's say France makes a war with England back then. So France wins. And now the people in England, they are now servants of the king of France. Oh yeah, really? It's just a matter of time until they make a revolution. We're not loyal to you. We're not your people. God said, I'm taking you out of Egypt. You're not going to be under Egyptian slavery. You're not going to be Egyptian punishment. You're not going to be under Egyptian servitude, but tortures. The Egyptians aren't going to suffer. That's the first three languages. Good. The fourth one is, you're going to be my people. That you have to do. You have to declare loyalty to me. So the first three languages that the four cups of wine are, right? So the first three are talking about what God does. And the last one is talking about what the Jews have to do. Now we have to be partners with God. Und the rebirth, so therefore, in Matzah, there are three. The three, that corresponds to the three languages of redemption, that God took them out of Egypt. Well, in Matzah, because in Matzah, this is stressed, mainly the main thing of the Matzah is going out from bad. Leaving bad. Via cool, how it comes, that God does it. God takes us out of Egypt. Oh, no. No. Okay, I hope that didn't. Let's go. I hope. Yes. There's a temporary loss. Oh, no. No.